This is now the front line in Tripoli. The fighting is largely over. Instead, it's the battle for water that's preoccupying the rebels. Residents are grabbing it wherever they can. This man says, without water, there is no life. The taps went dry 4 days ago. The National Transitional Council is not sure if water was cut because of deliberate sabotage or simply because of power outages, but they insist they are working to fix it.
One is a short-term solution, is to bring the waters from the wells that's South Tripoli, and they provided a 100 tank to bring the water from these wells. The other part of the solution is to bring water for drinking from outside through ships to the harbor. I think these two solutions, or the short-term solution, will be implemented today, tomorrow maximum.
But residents like Samia Sakali are already growing impatient. She says this is all they get for half a dozen people to share each day. They mainly drink it and use a little for cooking. And that's tough in her kitchen. No power and little food. It's no wonder she says life was better under Gadhafi.
The situation in Libya now is very difficult. Speaking for myself, I don't have water, I don't have light, there is no communications, I can't buy anything. All the things that were provided on a daily basis are not provided anymore.
This man is an English teacher now manning a tanker to help keep a meagre supply of water going into the city. He says above all, this is a duty towards the people. The people don't have water, so now we're in the holy month of Ramadan, so this is also a duty to God. These trucks are ferrying back and forth from dawn until midnight every day. Each one carries 13,000 litres of water, and they are now a vital lifeline to keep the people of Tripoli alive. But in this searing heat, this operation cannot keep up with demand. 2 million people in the city are desperately hoping main supplies will be restored soon. Dan Rivers, CNN, Tripoli.
Let me ask you first of all about the fighting. How much of it's going on and where? Where are the pockets of resistance?
Well, Tripoli itself is quieter by the day. There is sporadic gunfire, but it's quiet. The route to the border to Tunisia, the direct route, much quieter now. The towns there can expect to see a lot more traffic flowing as soon as the border itself actually opens, which is expected in the next few days. But by far, of everything that the National Transitional Council military, the rebels, if you will, have achieved so far, they still have a long way to go. A large distance between Ras Lanuf and Sirte, Gadhafi's hometown. So they have yet to take control of Sirte. They have yet to take control of one of the large, very important coastal port towns of Homs, just east of the capital here, about an hour's drive to the east. And then there's the south of the country, which traditionally, and as far as we know until now, is still has a lot of tribes that still support Muammar Gadhafi's government, or at least have certainly not given in to the rebels. And when we talk about a large area, the slither along the coast that the National Transitional Council controls is really only that. It's not much more than a slither when you look at the whole map of Libya. So there's large areas in the south of the country that the rebels, that the National Transitional Council have really yet to take control of. And that could take, as one commander I spoke to yesterday told me, that could take weeks, John.
What about the possibility of talks to put an end to all of this?
Well, there does seem to be a possibility of talks. Sadi Gadhafi, Muammar Gadhafi's son, a former professional football player, or semi-professional football player briefly, says that he is now ready to negotiate with the National Transitional Council, that he has talked to some international governments and they are willing to listen to his ideas. He says that Muammar Gadhafi will stay out of the way, won't get involved, that he, Sadi, controls the generals. He says that indeed the former government, or the government of Muammar Gadhafi, will expect to play a role in the future, because they believe that the rebels will split and divide into Islamists and non-Islamists, and they can pick which side that they will go with. So they still consider themselves to have some political role in the future of the country. To most people, they seem to be talking from a position of weakness, and certainly that's what the National Transitional Council's military spokesman said. He said that they're the strongest at the moment, but that they are willing to give the opportunity and time for talks. He said that they are willing to negotiate, that they will give it a certain period, and then after that they will decide what to do. So we do seem to be entering this area where there's an acceptance that there are two sides, no quick military solution, and there is a possibility of a negotiated solution, both sides saying they want to avoid bloodshed.
As news of the rebel arrival spread, residents of Qasr bin Rashid began to emerge in small groups. They had heard of liberation in various parts of the country, even in Tripoli, but they remained trapped. Cradling her 4-month-old, Suad Shatawi tells us, there was a military position here and over there, and there another base. She says they had no choice but to lock their doors and pray Gadhafi's forces would stay away from them. There was a little girl, Suad remembers. A bullet hit her in the head. She was her size, 10 years old. People were getting detained, and they even threatened to take the women.
All of these flags were just recently painted when the residents here realized that Gadhafi's forces had begun to pull out. In fact, the paint on this one, it's still wet. And they say that this is the first time that they have actually been able to feel freedom.
Gadhafi's forces had embedded themselves in these farmlands, using the civilian population for cover, as they pounded rebels who took the Tripoli International Airport a week ago. Rebels and NATO were only able to target some positions in the area. Milad Sirin says one of the firing positions was right next to his house. We could see them firing at the airport, he tells us. But I wasn't going to leave. This is my country. I was waiting for the revolutionaries. Commanders thought that the intensity of the fighting was linked to Gadhafi's whereabouts. Now they believe he slipped out of the area. Residents say Gadhafi's forces began to withdraw the night before. Rebels find their bases abandoned and discover self-propelled howitzers carefully hidden under shrubs, and various other spoils, including 10 Mercedes parked at another military installation. The crowd in the town center swells, the cheers of a people finally free, choking on emotions. Thank God, this man cries. We were suffocating, I swear, we were suffocating. Arwa Damon, CNN, Qasr bin Rashid, Libya.